is Red Hot Reds Live. Here are your hosts, Ricky Logan and Roger Strauss.
Welcome to the Red Hot Reds podcast. That's Ricky. I'm Roger. It is Sunday at 8 p.m. and we are live. And Ricky, we won a series. We had an all-star break, so we actually had like some baseball withdrawal a little bit as we weren't really able to see too much baseball this week. But we got 3 games in, one against the Mets, a playoff team. Again, playing kind of to our playing up to our level of competition. Again, which is kind of crazy that the Reds are going to kind of continue to do this hopefully going forward, hopefully not playing down to their competition against the next 2 opponents. But, 2 wins out of 3 is not bad. Obviously, a sweep would have been even sweeter. I think that was I was kind of wishing that. I put that as a show topic, it'd be great to sweep. But
how sweep it is. Yeah,
unfortunately, it didn't come true. We were close. I mean, we had a lot of runners on base and all that, but, it didn't come to fruition. Unfortunately, the Mets pulled one out finally when possibly it could have been pretty dicey on Saturday as well. But anyway, other than that, how's your week been?
Went pretty well. All-Star game, home run derby was fun to watch. I'm not a big All-Star game person. I like the tip of the cap stuff, and I like watching our guys. But I guess it's kind of cool seeing teams that you normally wouldn't get to see, like some Mariner guys or the White Sox guy that hit Suarez. But yeah, and then the swing off to win it was pretty cool to watch too.
Yeah, the All-Star game did not end in a tie, unlike in 2002, where it famously ended in a tie because everyone ran out of pitchers and hitters took their private planes and left by the 4th or 5th inning in some cases. So they ended up having a winner. Shout out to Middletown's own Kyle Schwarber getting maybe future Red, getting the MVP, even though he went 0 for 2 with a walk, I want to say, in the actual game. So shout out to him going hitless, but getting the MVP. But yeah, I mean, that swing off was the biggest talking point out of the All-Star game. We'll talk about the All-Star game in a little bit, but our Red Legs, I don't know. We're literally 100 games in. 53 and 47, right? Or is it 52 and 48?
52 and 48.
52 and 48. 4 games above 500. We keep hitting that ceiling of 5 games above 500 that everybody talks about. And I guess the thought that I have for you to start off the show is like, are these Red Legs for real?
I hope so. If you would have asked me at the beginning of the season, before the season started, is this where we would be? I would probably say we would probably be better. But if you would have asked me after the month of April, I would have said there's not a chance. And I think the real issue is like the NL Central is a whole lot better than what they expected it to be. The Cardinals are really surprising. The Brewers with their voodoo magic somehow are a game behind Chicago, maybe even a half game behind Chicago at this point.
Yeah.
And Chicago, I mean, they're like the 3rd best team in the National League right now. So I mean, they have a really good record. And if you would have said, the first series back after the All-Star break, we're 4 games above 500, I would have said, great, we're probably really close to winning the division, and we're not. So it sucks, but we're playing good ball, and I think there could be a run where we string some wins together and maybe the Brewers and the Cubs go on a cold streak and maybe we can flip-flop this division.
Yeah, right now the Cubs and Brewers are tied for top of the division, 59 and 40, which also is tied with the Tigers for best record in Major League Baseball, if you can believe that. That the Central teams, the AL Central, NL Central, have the best records in baseball. That usually the Central divisions are kind of like the smaller market, kind of the teams that will string together maybe like 88 wins to win a division type of situation, or maybe 90 on a good year. So this is kind of a flip that the Central divisions are pretty competitive. Actually, the AL Central's it's kind of competitive, but they're all under 500 except for the Tigers. But yeah, the NL Central is weirdly competitive. Luckily, the Cardinals dropped, I think, all 3 games to the Diamondbacks, the Eugenio Suarez, fighting Eugenio Suarez. Shout out to Tom Brenneman on that one. So like he is killing it down there, and that got us back to third in the division, because before going into this season, we had to climb over two teams at least. We had to climb over the Cardinals and the Brewers potentially just to like be competitive. I guess we could be right there with the Brewers and still get maybe a wild card spot, but then we're fighting with the Mets again, like we did with this series for a spot, and San Francisco and San Diego. So it's very competitive. It's kind of frustrating to think that this is a better version of the Reds. Like last year, I think if they had this record, I think they're easily in the playoffs, or at least they're not like trying to climb over all these teams. Because I think at this point last year, I was looking it up, the Reds actually out of the break dropped 2 out of 3 games or something like that, or got swept, and we're bottom of the division, if you can believe that. Right where they're like right with the Cubs, which is mind blowing. They're like 48 and 52, like the flip reverse of what they are right now. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. This week's going to be a big tell. I'm not exactly sure what the front office is thinking, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. But I'm not sure if this team is for real. I think they're going to exceed expectations. Like 77 wins, that was like, it seems like a lowball prediction now. Like 80 wins seems like easy. Like they could be easily an 80-win team, and they could finish, above 500 at this rate, unless something else happens, obviously, between now and the end of the season, injuries, or they go on a cold streak or what have you. But this has kind of been a strange season because it's the first year of Terry Francona, haven't been swept, haven't really put a big string together of, like winning like many games in a row. And on the reverse of that, they haven't, I think they only lost like 4 games in a row is their worst streak. So they're very, I don't know. They're a team that doesn't get swept. There's a team that doesn't go out there and sweep every team. So they're kind of like where they should be, I feel. The only problem is that, like you said, the Cubs and the Brewers are much, much better right now.
Yeah, if I would have told you that the 2 best teams in the National League were the Cubs and the Brewers coming out of the All-Star break, what would you have thought? Because they're both 59 and 40. The Brewers have won 10 in a row. The Dodgers are 58 and 42 and lost 8 out of their last 10. And the Phillies are 56 and 43 and they're 4 and 6 on their last 10. So it's, I don't, it doesn't seem right that the NL Central was as good as it is. And you were kind of banking on them not being as good because, that's kind of what we were told all offseason, that the Cardinals were going to regress. The Brewers traded away their closer and their best pitcher, and their main core is kind of getting older, and they have a bunch of young guys. And like, we have this group of players that have been together since 2023, and they're all, 22, 23, 24 years old, and they're improving. And to have, 52 wins, and you're 6 and 4 in your last 10, and to still be 2.5 games out of a wild card spot and 7.5 out of the division, like, it's crazy.
For sure. I think the biggest thing, like, this team has kind of like, I'm thinking like 2024, like this season that we're having right now, I guess what I'm trying to say is what we probably should have had in 2024 if we're going with like a linear, like growth for this ball club, for these young players. But 2024 was such a step backwards as opposed to a step forwards in progressing as a team, as an organization, that now we're kind of like trying to play catch up. So it almost feels like 2026, they're going to put another step forward and be even more competitive and be even more, like, a better, maybe fill out some of their holes and be even a better ball club in 2026. I'm not giving up on this season per se, because there's still plenty of time to, put some wins together against some pretty decent ball clubs, with the Rays coming to town and the Dodgers coming to town. And then they play the Cardinals at the end of the month to basically like really hopefully put them in a good position to, win and get, or at least get up in the division, because 7.5 sounds like a lot. And you don't have to win the division, obviously, because, the 3 wild card spots allow for a little bit more breathing room, but you're still going up against San Diego, who's looking to add. You're still going up against the Mets, who are probably still going to add players at the trade deadline. San Francisco will probably add as well. Like, it's going to be difficult to stay competitive if you're not adding at the deadline. But we'll talk about that in a little bit, what the Reds should and shouldn't do, or if they are going to add, who would be a good idea. I don't know. Any other thoughts on this series, and or like what we're thinking? Like, is this team for real?
It's nice to beat a team that is as good as the Mets are, and they haven't been this great lately, but they are a very good team. And to come out of the All-Star break with 2 out of 3 it's what you ask for. Yeah,
for sure. A playoff team right now, right? Like, taking 2 out of 3, rising to the competition, which, we're going to DC to play the Nationals, so hopefully there's no drop off in level of play. That's the fingers crossed, because the Nationals always. We could talk about this probably in the segment when we talk about the Week Cup coming, but the Nationals always seem to get our goat sometimes when we need wins. But anyway, what also happened this week was the All-Star game, like we talked about, and we had 2 guys represent the Cincinnati Redlegs, and that's not it. Where did it go? The Cincinnati All-Stars, Mr. Elly De La Cruz and Andrew Abbott, are Cincinnati representatives. Glad that it wasn't just Elly. I know that we feel that Cincinnati's kind of been disrespected, I feel, in terms of like maybe getting passed over in some selections or voting, or you know what I mean. Obviously, we're a bit biased. We're a pro Elly show. I think he's still definitely better than Francisco Lindor. Shout out to Francisco Lindor for having a rough series to make it clear and obvious that Elly De La Cruz is the superior shortstop. But I don't know. Like, I feel like this showing, it didn't show exactly what the Redlegs are all about, but it definitely was a situation where we had Elly and Abbott on the biggest stages to show, who basically the Cincinnati Reds are. We have essentially a young second full year shortstop making his second appearance, basically building to a point where he could possibly be the face of the league at one point, maybe sooner than later. I don't know. Elly is definitely a guy that has made a lot of people take notice of the Cincinnati Reds just with his electric play, his defense, and whatnot. But he hasn't really, I don't know, I guess he hasn't really got the national shine that we feel like he should. But yeah, and then also with Andrew Abbott going out there, being an injury replacement kind of stings, because we felt, Ricky and I especially, felt that he could have had a potential argument to be the starting pitcher. I mean, shout out to the Pirates for having the one guy that I guess is more marketable than Elly to be able to basically be the starter of the All-Star game. But yeah, shout out to Andrew Abbott. He had a 1-2-3 inning out there in the All-Star game. I think Ricky is just getting back online. We're having another potential storm situation, so hopefully we'll be able to get through this today. Ricky, are we back? Let's see. No. Do I have to add you? All right. Are you able to?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I hear.
We unfortunately lost. I think we lost a bunch of our slides, so I don't know if that's an issue. But
all right, I can add them as we go.
Yeah, we're just talking about the All-Stars, how Elly and Abbott represented Cincinnati and the Redlegs, and that it's unfortunate that they're a bit disrespected because, like I said, Elly kind of got shorted by the fan vote when he clearly is the best shortstop, maybe not just in the NL, but maybe in all of baseball. Andrew Abbott was having all-star numbers that if anybody has those numbers, clearly is there at least as a reserve, but we had argued that he had a legitimate argument to be a starter. But, is what it is. They showed out a bit. I did want to ask you, do you think that Ellie kind of got robbed out of being in the swing-off for the All-Star game? Instead of, I think they put in that Marlins guy, Stowers, to be one of the guys that hits for the swing-off?
Maybe. I think he probably just didn't want to do it. It might have been the thing, because he declined the home run derby and maybe just didn't want to, kind of backtrack on his word.
Yeah, I thought that he would want to do that because he really enjoyed it. You know what I mean? He was up there with all the guys out of the dugout watching and every home run, going crazy. I guess I'm kind of not sure exactly what the selection process was. Like, did Dave Roberts go up to him and say, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And he said no, or he just had different thoughts of, I don't know. That was just my first thought, because I think I saw some stuff across people's X Twitter talking about, like, how come Ellie's not out there, but I don't know. I guess maybe he wasn't ready to get back up there, because I think didn't he played like the middle innings and then got replaced later on, so maybe he wasn't ready to.
He came in the 6th, I think.
Okay.
With Abbott.
Gotcha. So I don't know. Maybe he was just not feeling it and wanted to just be a part of it, and so much of just watching, being a fan.
Yeah, and he did say that he's not opposed to doing it in the future. So maybe next year or the year after. I think next year's in Philadelphia, a little bit bigger of a market than Atlanta. Maybe you get him out there and show him off a little bit. Or I'd like to see one in Cincinnati again, because it was a long time when they got the one in 2015 when they had it. It had been a long time since they had one here. And I kind of hope that they can kind of bring it back, because I think Great American Ballpark's very underrated for like its looks, and anytime you can get it on the national stage, it kind of boosts us up a little bit, and if we're a competitive team again, I mean, it might help. So I think he'll want to do it, but I think he just probably said no. Like, I turned down the home run derby. It'd be kind of funny if I came out and did this.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was like the best of both worlds, that he turned down the home run derby, but like the swing off, he'd get a little glimpse of maybe something in the future, or I don't know. I think he's obviously a Boris client, so I wouldn't be completely surprised if he's being told from that agency, like, hey, protect your value, wait till you get your big contract maybe before you start going out there, because there have been some people that dispute that doing the home run derby doesn't affect your swing, but there are a lot of guys that have done it in recent years, and maybe because of the format. Maybe that's why they're always tweaking the format, is so they don't put a lot of strain on these guys, or because a lot of them seem like they're huffing and puffing and sweating a lot. So it's got to be hard work to just keep going out there and swinging for the fences. So
I miss the old format where it was just like you got 10 outs and you could take a break if you needed to, because, I mean, God, these guys are the best athletes in the world in the sport of baseball, and they're gasping for air with a minute left.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. I'm not sure exactly what the ideal format is, because, the 10 outs is a classic. What they do now with like these bonus rounds and stuff like that seems to add more to their, more like to their plate of going up there and, hacking at the ball with additional swings is my thought. And I'm not exactly sure if you go to like a swing off format where you got only a certain number of swings, like I don't know, that's kind of like even more like pressurized. I don't know. Like, you give them 20 swings, maybe. I don't know. Like, it's kind of like the out system, but in reverse. But I'm not exactly sure what the right approach would be for a home run derby, because I'm not up there doing it. So maybe it's something they do in the collective bargaining agreement again, to try to figure out coming up soon to see what is like the best,
bigger paycheck.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it doesn't seem like the Stars always duck it. It's not like the NBA dunk contest where they're getting G League guys to do it. It's not that bad. But you're
Yeah.
right. There are some guys that could do it. That maybe they're just protecting their contract, their injury potential. I don't know. It's definitely it's still a spectacle one way or the other.
Yeah.
More than sometimes the game, even, to be honest with you, because the game can be uncompetitive sometimes. This All-Star game was pretty competitive, so it was nice to see it go all the way to they didn't have to go into some extra innings, ghost runner stuff. They didn't have to do the Manfred runner, at least. But they got a nice little swing off to
That's one thing I want to get rid of.
the ghost runner.
Yeah.
Well, it's not in the playoffs, right?
I don't think so. I hope not.
Yeah, I think they get rid of it in the playoffs. They just do it for the regular season because they want to, what I mean? They don't want games to go 6 hours on a random Tuesday in the middle of July. So, but it's kind of, that's baseball, man. Everybody, all the old timers will probably be like, this is not baseball to do that. But then, these guys are playing 162 games. You want to kind of keep it moving a little bit. But, transition now to our next topic. We got basically the trade deadline's in 11 days. We have a couple series before I think the front office has to kind of get real serious. I don't know if they're going to go all the way to the end of Sir Boy's talking about he wants 12-hour games. I mean, watch the 2004 documentary of the Boston Red Sox New York Yankees series. That game that went past like the 1 a.m. or whatever. Check that out.
I remember there was an Astros game that went like 18 innings or something. I was like, holy cow.
Yeah, I think there might even like a World Series game that did that more recent. I forget which now, but anyway, yeah, check that out. 2004, heck of a time for just sitting there and adjusting your gloves and taking a timeout every single pitch. It was the peak glory time for that, to make a 5-hour game into what should have been maybe 3.
Yeah.
But shout out to the Red Sox and the Yankees for
Terry
that.
Francona.
Yeah. But yeah, at 11 days to the trade deadline, the front office has to probably start making some calls. Maybe even this week. Maybe they have been. That's a good question as to what the front office is thinking going into post All-Star break. I've kind of had a prevailing thought, but I wanted to hear from you first, Rick. What do you think the Reds are going to do? Are they going to buy? Or are they going to sell?
Well, like our graphic says right here, I think they're going to buy and sell. I think they are going to try to shop Nick Martinez. I feel like you have to at this point, and you need pitching, and you really need Hunter Green back. But if you could trade Nick Martinez for, I don't know, a decent hitter, and I don't know, maybe a couple decent, relatively could be coming up soon prospects, and then you can, I don't know, try to buy somebody like a Luis Robert, who I'm not the highest on. I obviously, like, the prize that I want is Eugenio Suarez, but he's kind of playing himself out of our price range. He's been out of his mind, taking over the National League lead in home runs.
Yeah.
But I feel like the Yankees and the Padres are going to try to go so hard on him that it could lower the cost of a Luis Robert, and maybe we could pull that off. I just don't know, because I don't think Luis Robert hasn't really played great. Like, would he be that big of an upgrade over like Jake Fraley against right-handed pitching, or Rhys Hines over right-handed pitching? Because I mean, the goal would be to get another right-handed bat so you could have Hines come up and face righties, because that's where he kind of excels, is hitting right-handed pitching. And I don't know. I think they buy and sell, but I think they're going to try to acquire a starter and a reliever. And I think sadly, I think a bat probably gets overlooked.
Yeah. Yeah, my prevailing thought, I was thinking back to the 2024 Tigers. They traded one of their better pitchers, Jack Flaherty, and I was just looking at the trade here. They only got prospects back, so I don't know if we're going to get anything like that, or even their number 8, number 22 prospects from the Dodgers organization. This is just last year, so I don't know if we're going to get anything close to that for a Nick Martinez, unless the team is real desperate. Say a Dodgers, for that matter, who always seemingly have injured pitchers. I definitely see that. I can definitely even see like an Austin Hayes getting dealt, because I don't know if they're going to be. You say, I think we talked about, he's got like a mutual option for $12 million next year. I don't know if the Reds want that, especially if he's just like a part-time player, 80 games a season player. And I don't know if $12 million really is worth what the Reds would value in, say, an Austin Hayes. They probably go elsewhere. I mean, they got Marte moved to the outfield, which we'll talk about later in the show. But like, I think they definitely are going to prioritize pitching. But today they should look at like the loss, a 3-2 loss to a team like the Mets that they could have swept if they had some more timely hitting. They had bases loaded. They had guys on first and second, and in the first and second inning, or something like that early on, and they just didn't convert runners in scoring position. Like, that should like kind of tell the front office, like, hey, we don't have enough. Like, we had enough Friday and Saturday. Fine. You know what I mean? Like, they can convince themselves that, Austin Hayes going off with 2 home runs is going to be enough for that. Or, you know what I mean? Like, Ellie De La Cruz doing Ellie De La Cruz stuff is going to be enough offense. But, like, if we really get down to it, this Red Legs team could, like, go quiet again, and they're going to just struggle offensively, and they're just not going to have someone to break up, the terrible streakiness that this team can have. So I would love to just see a reliever and a bat, but we were talking about pre-show. Yeah, Suarez is probably top of the heap for people going after right-handed batters. I was kind of liking Joe Adell. We were talking about Joe Adell, and the Lane Thomas is another guy that I forgot about that could be on the block because Cleveland's not having a great season. I don't know. Taylor Ward, we've talked about him in the past. Another one that I wouldn't mind, like just some outfield help, because we have Rhys Hines, but Rhys Hines, man, he's mashing in AAA, but when he gets up to the majors, he's just not. I don't know what if it's his approach, kind of a CES problem, where he's just trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark every time. But I can't see really the Reds really kind of putting their faith in kind of those kind of guys like Benson and Hines. Ideally, if they are playing up to their back of their card or to their potential, yeah, I would love to see Rhys Hines and Will Benson play regularly down the stretch. But I don't know. If this team is supposed to be good, we got to add something in that outfield. And I'd like any of those that I've mentioned, hopefully be within, the Reds' range of acquiring them.
Yeah, Joe Adell, he's got 21 home runs this year. But the Angels are kind of playing themselves into playoff contention. They just took 2 out of 3 against the Phillies. And like Taylor Ward, I think those two are probably not going anywhere this year. Especially with Joe Adell having, I think, what would you say, 2 years of team control left? He's 26.
Yeah.
We just need a power hitter, and Suarez seems like the easiest thing to do, because with moving Marte to the outfield, that frees up a third base spot for Suarez. Like it's like the match is made right there. Or we'll talk about later my other opinion at third base, but I don't know who they go after for as far as like hitting, because Luis Robert seems like the easy one to go, hey, outfielder, right-handed hitter, has some pop in his bat, and he's a pretty good defender. But then you're moving Friedel to a corner spot, and then you got to do something with the 40-man depending on who you trade. So I don't know. It's a tough decision they'll have to make. I think the easiest thing they're going to have to do right now is find a way to get rid of Taylor Rogers, because him, and it's funny because people look at the ERA and go, oh, he's doing pretty good. But if you look at his OPS allowed, it's like almost 800 OPS. And it seems like every time, it was like Ian Jabot in 2023, but Ian Jabot actually pitched better, I guess, than Taylor Rogers. Inherited runners almost always score with Taylor Rogers. So that needs to be a point of focus as a left-handed reliever. And Serbo in the chat, the easy one is Aroldis Chapman. But I get it. He's 36, 37 years old. You're probably still giving up like a top 5 and another top 10 prospect to get Chapman. So, I mean, do you want to give up, I don't know who's top 5 right now in the farm system? Come on, load.
I mean, like, you're talking about Sal, you're talking about
Cam Collier, Chase Petty, Alfredo Duno, Edwin Arroyo, Sammy Sephora, Tyson Lewis, Ricky Cabrera. That's your 5 through 10. Like Chase Petty, people are just going to go, oh, get rid of him because he's stunk this year in the major leagues. But I mean, there's still future with Chase Petty. He came up last year to AAA, like the last 3 starts, I think, and pitched very well. And I think he got rushed up to the major leagues, and I think that's just got in his head. But I'm not giving up Sal Stewart for anybody right now. And I'm not giving up Cam Collier for anybody right now either. And Tyson Lewis looks like he could be the next superstar, the way he's been playing. I mean, obviously it's the ACL, but he's playing to his competition. You know, he's looking really good. I think the only 2 that I could see myself going, hey, I could probably trade that guy would be like Sammy Sephora and Edwin Arroyo. But I mean, you're going to need that stopgap at shortstop. I know we talk about, oh, we got to stop drafting shortstops, but you know, it's probably very slim that we keep Ellie long term. So, I mean, you got to have competent backups to come up and replace him. So, I mean, you would need somebody like Sammy Sephora, Ricky Cabrera, you know, Edwin Arroyo potentially next year, the year after coming up. And then you go down the line. I mean, you got Shing-En Lin, who's been pitching and DHing, but I think he was a shortstop last year, played shortstop, third base. And then, you know, you get down to like Leo Balcazar, who maybe if you could find a way to include him as a prospect to trade. I mean, he's the number 25 ranked prospect, but he could be ready next year. Then you go down to 28, Lippert Aponte, who they signed in the international free agency pool this year. Number 28 ranked prospect. He could be something. He's done pretty well so far in the DSL. He is 276, 4 home runs, 2 triples, and 3 doubles, and he's walked almost as much as he struck out.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the farm system, the thought from the front office should be pretty clear the way that they talked about it, Brad Meter especially. And I got his quote right here about what they're going to do as an approach to this trade deadline. And the quote from Brad Meter is, we're certainly looking and talking to every team, figuring out what we can in the short term to help this team. And at the same time, we're not going to hurt ourselves long term by selling our best prospects. So you were talking about how like people were mad that they didn't win today. I think a lot of people were mad going into this game, hearing this kind of, I think this came out yesterday, the 19th, about Brad Meter talking about how we're protecting the future. And that kind of rankled a lot of people in terms of like, hey, we got to win now. But like, this is the small market mentality that people rail against, all these people that feel that the Reds never are competitive or never go all in. And I mean, there's a reason for it. You can't go all in because you can't erase mistakes. So I'm not excusing the behavior of this front office. More, you got to be realistic. We were 4th in the division going into the All-Star break. And aside from the Cardinals getting swept, and maybe they're going to start sinking I mean, you're talking about the two hottest team in baseball with the Cubs and the Brewers. Like, what do you mean going all in? Those teams are going to go all in. I mean, the Brewers never do. They're going to probably do the same kind of buy and sell strategy that we're kind of talking about for the Reds. But like the Cubs are going all in. Like they're probably thinking World Series this year with the way that they've been playing, and some of their injuries. Like they lost their best pitcher in Justin Steele, mind you, and they're still one of the best teams in baseball. So like. I don't know. My thought is that you want to be able to be competitive every single year, but not mortgage your future, because the Reds are obviously a small market in terms of revenue. They're not going to go out there and be able to erase all their mistakes, but at the same time, you have the argument, and this is in retrospect, obviously, hindsight's 2020, but 2023 we were right there, in first place in the division, and we got Sam Moll. So it's like, okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to strike when you can, but at the same time, you can't be trading Sal Stewart.
Yeah, I think what rubbed people the wrong way is that was almost like a cut and paste of a 2023 comment from Nick Krall. So I think that's what people go, oh, we're not going to do it again. But I was texting Reds Daily Fork, Greg Kuffner, and we kind of went back and forth about what should we do. And, I tossed around the idea of possibly trading Nick Lodolo, but then you got to have somebody replace him in the rotation, and you'd have somebody like Brian Van Bell coming up. So would that be going for it? And it's yeah, you're right. And we'll have an interview coming out this coming Wednesday with Michael Ballantyne. He's the new host of the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast. And he had mentioned, spoiler alert for the episode, but he had mentioned, Suarez, because he's kind of like the hot button right now. But trading CES and Nick Martinez for Eugenio Suarez and Anthony DeSclafani. And that kind of tempted me a little bit, because if you think about it, CES hasn't been great, and you can't really fix his approach, in my opinion. I think his chasing ability is probably just who he is. So if you could get somebody to kind of take his spot power-wise, which would be a Suarez, I get it. It's probably only going to be for a year. He probably signs a pretty decent contract, even though he's, 33, 34?
I think 35.
35. Man, time flies. But, eventually you do have Cam Collier coming up potentially in 2026 at some point. So he could be that stopgap at DH. But, yeah, I don't know. It's you trade somebody like CES, but are they even going to value him as a prospect anymore because of his struggles at the major league level?
No. I don't think so. I think it's a very hopeful trade that Mike kind of put out there. It'd be awesome for us if they do it. But you're right, CES, he kind of has put some bad tape out there. Greg broke it down in the interview we had with him, talking about how he just is missing pitches. He just is missing center, and then he's swinging at bad stuff out of the strike zone. But he can hit some of that stuff. The grand slam, I think, was a bad pitch. He took that out. So he's got a bunch of potential, raw potential. I think Greg was kind of questioning his approach, and I kind of see it, that he's just kind of going out there just trying to mash, kind of a la Rhys Hines. Unfortunately, their approach may not be major league level approach where guys are going to be able to get them out easy. I do agree with Fred that we probably should trade Nick Krall. I don't know what we can get for him. It's a good question, though, Fred. We may get cash considerations, which would be a big W for Bob.
Future Hall of Famer.
We still didn't answer that. What is the minimum of cash considerations? It's very vague. It doesn't seem like I feel like it would just be $1,000, maybe a handshake, and that's it. But anyway,
Fred's point, he said he didn't even know Disco was still in the league. Yeah, he's 0-1, 4.66 ERA, 21 strikeouts. I think he's been used as a reliever. kind of like a Nick Martinez 2024 beginning of the season kind of guy. 3 innings against St. Louis, 3 innings against LA, and 4 innings against Kansas City. His ERA, he's actually been pitching pretty well the last couple starts. So, yeah, I mean, you might have 2 reunions, but you'd be giving up CES in the process. So, I don't know. That's a good, I guess it's a weird problem to have.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not exactly sure what this front office is going to really do. I guess I'm waiting to be surprised. I'm waiting for them to be kind of more aggressive than what my cynical thoughts are going to be, which is like you said, if that quote from Meter is literally a cut and paste from 2023 Nick Krall, well, yeah, we're going to get some sand mole type of vibes of trading in 2023. Hopefully more than that. I don't know. Like there's definitely room for a lot of guys to come in here and help this ball club. Like for sure. This team is nowhere near obviously going to compete for the top of the division. Not this season. There's a lot of holes in the bullpen. There's a lot of holes in the outfield. A lot of holes in starting pitching right now. So we need help. This front office should prioritize, I would say, the pitching, because I think they can convince themselves inside their own office building that they have enough hitting, which, maybe on a good day. I mean, they look great Friday and Saturday in New York, but I don't think that's going to consistently be what it's going to look like, every single series for the Reds.
Yeah, I have Nick Krall's comments from 2023.
Oh, geez. Is it really the same?
He said, "For us, it's really hard to give up players that we feel are going to be here long term when you're trying to build a sustainable roster. I don't think we need to sit. If there's something we can do, I want to make sure we're leaving no stone unturned. But at the same time, I want to make sure that we're building this for sustainability, not just for 1-year playoff runs."
Yeah, but that's baseball, man. 1-year playoff runs, like that baseball team in Chicago, they had only 1 World Series. I mean, they had a decent team, a lot of guys that were huge prospects that ended up, proving what they ended up being, like Bryant and Rizzo and Javier Baez. They only got 1. Like that's Major League Baseball, man. You can't think that you're going to have 6-7 years of, like crazy success, especially if you're not the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Mets, who have a billionaire owner, right? Yeah. Like, let's get real. Like, I understand that's 2023. Hopefully that's not necessarily what they still think. I don't think those comments are exactly the same.
They're close.
They're close.
Here's another quote from that same trade deadline.
Yeah.
When you're trading a player, it's not easy. It was tough. It was a tough thing to talk to players and say, "Hey, we're moving on from you." And this is all they've known. I think people forget this is a business and it's about people. And I know that people are the product. I want to put myself in their shoes because that's not an easy transition. I can only imagine what it is like to be traded. You have to be sensitive to that, though.
Oh, man, I don't know about that. Like, I get it. Yes, all those – I validate Nick Krall's feelings on that. But, like, come on. You're here to win ball games. You don't win. This sounds like the David Bell, like, oh, we got to have good vibes in the locker room. We can't break that up type of talk, which I don't think that's what's happening. I don't know. I could be wrong. I feel like it's a lot more the accountability, right? Like, I feel like that Papa Tito is not sitting there going like, oh, we got to make sure we take care of these guys' feelings first. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Yeah. Like, baseball is a little bit more than that.
I think what this team just really needs is a veteran presence. Like 2023, you had Joey Votto, and I get it. Joey's been here forever, but you had
they didn't care about his feelings. Like they didn't care about his feelings at all.
Right. But like you had Votto, who had been in the league forever, and he was teaching guys. I think he helped with Will Benson's development. And I think Ellie, a lot of the guys just liked being around him, right? And I think Candelario was supposed to be that guy. You know, Candelario is supposed to be that veteran to kind of to replace Votto in the clubhouse, and it backfired because I don't think Candelario was a great clubhouse presence. But when you go back in time, like you look at the 2009 Reds, right? They had Jay Bruce, Homer Bailey, Edinson Volquez, Drew Stubbs, Brandon Phillips, like all these guys that were super young. And then they go out and get Scott Rowland. And then he was kind of like that just turning point for the team because he was that leader that knew how to win. He'd won a World Series with St. Louis. Like he knew how to win games. And in 2010, like you could tell that was an effect. Like it happened. They go out and they win the NL Central for the first time since what, 1995, 99, 95? Because they won the
99. They didn't. No.
Yeah, 95. First time since 1995 they had won the division. Granted, they ran into a very dominant Philadelphia rotation, but they did that, and then they had their down year in 2011. But in 2012, you know, you had Ryan Ludwig, Ramon Hernandez, Miguel Cairo, all these other veterans infused with this young talent that was Joey Votto, Jay Bruce, Homer Bailey, Edinson Volquez. I believe that was rookie Devin Mesoraco around that time. And they go out and win 90-plus games and win the division again, have their best season in forever. And then, you know, unfortunately couldn't close out the series against the Giants. But they didn't build off of that. They kind of let that team kind of crumble and didn't try to, you know, trade talent for prospects. They probably held on to Todd Frazier a little too long. Love Todd Frazier, but held on to him a little too long. Probably held on to Jay Bruce a little too long. I think you keep a guy like Votto. I mean, you're probably not trading his contract anyway, but Homer Bailey, you probably could have traded him more at his peak. And maybe you extended the wrong guy. You extended Homer Bailey and you didn't extend Johnny Cueto. You picked the wrong pitcher. But I guess where I'm getting at is those teams had veteran leadership that also performed. And we've been trying to do that. 2019, Mike Moustakas and Nick Castellanos. Who's the Japanese outfielder? Shogo Akiyama. Mm-hmm. And that didn't work. And then you tried it again in 2024 with Jeimer Candelario, and it slapped them in the face because you're so hampered by financials that I don't know. It sucks because you see this team and you see that 2010, 2012 team. I think they could be better than that team. Like you got if Noelvi Marte plays to his potential, especially now moving to the outfield, and Ellie being Ellie. Like we haven't had an Ellie since Eric Davis. And pitching, this is the best pitching staff we've had since probably the 80s. I mean, they're good. And it just seems like they're not trying to get that really good veteran leader. Like, I don't know, like you can't really scout leaders, but they're not going out and trying to find a Scott Rowland type guy in 2010.
No, I don't know. This is like the whole like Jonathan India captain debate. I feel like do these guys? All these guys are professionals, and I feel like Tito is the guy that's going to be, you know, pushing this team along emotionally. He seems to connect with the players enough to do that. The problem I'm having is, you know, like they blame the Bailey contract and the Votto contract for being this albatross hanging over the team, not being able to be competitive because we have to pay these guys and they can't really build around them because they have so much of the money that's already tied up. But like then this team since 2023 should be the team you should be going all in on, because a lot of these guys are not even like at least pre-arbitration, for Christ's sake. Like a lot of guys are not even like into their contracts yet where they're actually making legitimate money, or into their arbitration years where they're making actual money. Like, this is the time to do it. And, like, unfortunately, the Cubs, like William's saying, and the Brewers are much better. So it makes it frustrating to be like a Reds fan and say, yeah, you got to be all in, even though that these other two teams are like 7 games ahead of you. I just need some indication to be surprised that this front office is not just going to stand pat and just trade Nick Martinez and get maybe like a guy that we've never heard of that is going
to get some teams like 20th ranked prospect who's like 17 or 18 years old and you probably never see.
Yeah. So I guess I'm kind of like putting a bit of pressure on this front office to do more than just what they've normally done, but not necessarily sell the farm, because we know they're not going to do that. They've said it explicitly for many, many years, and that's fine. We've got guys like a guy we're going to talk about maybe in this next segment that are going to be major leaguers that we feel are going to make an impact at this team. And also, yeah, like Fred said, shout out to Dusty getting fired after a 90-win season. That's very red.
That, man, that, and then you go to Brian Price, and then from Brian Price to David Bell. You pick 2 first-time managers back to back, and you just expected it to work. Like I don't know who. I think Don Mattingly was available in 2019. Like, that would have been a move that you go out and get that veteran right after Brian Price.
Yeah. Like I say, that's why I feel the hiring of Tito indicates more than just we're getting a guy with a pedigree. They're also going to put a team that can win in his bulk, in the stinking, the lineup. Somebody, like, we need to like be serious. If we're going to be a serious team, let's not look like a team that's going to trade for like Sam Moll again. We're not going to go get a guy that is just going to be a body in the bullpen. So I don't know. I guess I'm getting frustrated just thinking about doing
the past, thinking about the past. And then to Fred's point, where does a veteran play on this team? He plays third base, and his name is Eugenio Suarez. That's just you bring him back. He's the leader, and I get it. He played on some pretty bad Reds teams, and he goes to Seattle, goes back down to Arizona. They're not the greatest team. He did play in a World Series in 2023, so potentially, I mean, I think he just knows ball. I think he knows the ins and outs of trying to improve every day and being that guy that just shows, hey, like, come to work every day and just do your job and you'll get better. It's, he had those rough seasons where he hit like 150, but I mean, he's going to hit probably 60 home runs this year.
That's crazy.
And I'd love to see him hit his 60th in Cincinnati.
Oh, for sure. In fact, the Cincinnati Redlegs have seemingly made some moves to open up third base. We got Noelvi Marte, the guy that was supposed to be the third baseman of the future, is now an outfielder. So is this permanent? Like, what are we doing here? He only practiced like a couple times, right? I thought this was going to be more like the Reese Hines taking reps at first base that kind of just went away type of thing. But it doesn't look like it. Looks like he's there to play.
I had a conversation with Reds Daily 4 about this about a week and a half ago. It was when I think he was right after our show with him. We talked about how he had the case of the yips. And he talked about how he had a case of the yips when he was in high school. And he played second base and he just couldn't throw the ball to first base. But if he played shortstop or third base, he could throw the ball to first base, no problem. It was like he just got in his head and just forgot how to throw the ball to first base. And maybe that's Marte at third. He's a shortstop by trade. He came every level. He's been a shortstop. And that's kind of the problem with moving guys, drafting shortstops and then like just planning on moving them. Like, this has to be a thought. But I like this because he's not moving the center. I like the corner outfield spot for him in particular. It's kind of like a Fernando Tatis kind of move. I think Marte isn't as big as Tatis. And Marte is like 6 foot, I think. And I think Tatis is like 6'2". But Marte's super athletic and has a very strong arm for an infielder. So him moving to a corner spot and his bat has been pretty well. So if you open up that defensive spot in the infield, like we talked about, you could make that trade for Suarez, stick him right at third, and you're still keeping Marte in the lineup, and you're still having Santiago Espinal as the defensive replacement when needed, or a guy you can give a guy a day off at any position in the infield. And I don't know, I like it. I kind of had fantasies about it in 2024, just being like, okay, he's struggling. Maybe you mix it up and you just kind of get out of his head, because he struggled all of last year at everything. So I like it, and I think he's extremely athletic enough to make it work long term, should the Reds want to keep him out there.
Yeah, I'm with Fred that it's not ideal to do it in the middle of the season like that to him. But if he's willing to do it, hopefully that means he's going to be willing to put in the reps whenever they're off days or before games, stuff like that, to get it done. I'm kind of worried that the Reds hopefully are not setting him up for failure, so much so that like they put him in the outfield and he starts to lose just his confidence out there, makes a couple errors, he airmails the ball, once or twice, and then all of a sudden we have like a very unconfident young guy who kind of was doing the same thing like at third, like getting in his own head, like you said, got the yips. That Boston game that I think when we were filming, or we were recording with Greg, is when he was having those yips at third in that last game of the Boston series as well. So like, I don't know. Hopefully, that he can settle in there. It makes the outfield a little bit stronger, at least with arm strength, rather than having a Lux out there in left field or right field. I don't know. It's an interesting experiment. It seems like a thing you would do when you're out of it. Like if you're out of contention. So it seems very high risk a bit to do it if you feel like you're competitive and looking to win, right? Like putting a guy that's never played there. That seems like what the Rockies or the White Sox would do, just because they're just trying to experiment late in the season. So hopefully this is not an experiment that blows up in our face. I have confidence that he's going to do everything he can to help the ball club win, especially, if he's in the lineup, that means he's hopefully going to be providing some pop, some power, which another thing the outfield needs as well, right? Like it seems to be like this could be a great marriage or a great decision that could really help the Reds' future. But right now, hopefully it doesn't end badly.
Yeah, and it kind of makes me wonder if they ever really did have Jonathan India in their future plans, because they never really forced him to do this, or it just shows you how great of a teammate Noel Marte is, saying, hey, I'll go out and whatever you need me to do. I know I've sucked at third base for a lot. So if I want to stick with this team, I think I can contribute. Try me in the outfield, and it's working. So that's kind of my tangent, I guess, is maybe they just didn't have Jonathan India in their future from the beginning.
Yeah, he did take those spring training reps in the outfield, I believe, and that was about the extent of it, which, again, that's why I was thinking what this experiment would be. Same thing with Rhys Hines. It would just be something they try. I guess the thing I guess we should take away from it is that maybe the reps for India and the reps for Hines proved to be they stunk at the position. Like they were watching him do it in practice, and they're like, yeah, we're probably not going to do this for X, Y, and Z. So maybe what Marte has shown so far and just, the reps that he's taken, maybe he's showing to be a potential outfielder. He's young enough, and like you said, he's got the arm, so maybe they're just trying. Maybe they're not trying to, stick a, square peg in a round hole. Maybe he actually seems to have the tools and the ability to be a decent outfielder. I guess that would be the positive thing to take away, because like William said, he had a pretty decent throw. It was just not in time, I think, today. So like it was a good start. Like he didn't airmail it or like have it hit like 5 times before he get to home plate or anything like that. But like I just feel for the guy if he ends up being in a situation that he's, like the outfield can be weird because you got to know the dimensions, you got to know the walls and where the ball can carry him off of and stuff like that. So it's not as easy as it just catching a pop fly every so often. You know what I mean? You got to be exact with your movements. You can't break on a ball too early and whatnot. So we'll see. I feel for the guy if he gets in a rough spot, but I think he's willing to play the position, so that's a positive.
Yeah, I want to highlight this comment, and then we can move on to our famous segment. But Fred Marte has done a 180 after his steroid suspension. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the fan base gave up on him. Not me. He was my header all last year after he hit that double in St. Louis. I just shows you how fast being successful can make somebody like a player. Candelario last year stunk from April to like the middle of May. And then he hit 8 home runs on like a 3-week stretch. And everyone's like, hey, let's go, Candy. And then, he gets hurt, doesn't play well, goes on the IL, stinks when he comes back. They shut him down. He comes in this year and just was absolutely atrocious. No plate discipline at all. I know Trace on Chatterbox had that famous clip go viral. He's just screaming at him through the microphone. And I think Trace's frustration in that moment was the entire fan base towards him. And I think that's why it resonated with so many people, because you're paying a guy $15 million to not even look like he's trying. At least, I don't know. Moustakas' problem was health. Had he had come in and been healthy, maybe he performed. I mean, he did come off a 35 home run season in Milwaukee. So I don't know. But yeah, it's Marte, a complete 180 with the fan base, and I'm happy for him. Definitely buying his jersey here coming up pretty soon. And yeah, I'm just really happy to see Marte finally clicking after just a terrible season last year. Everything that could go wrong last year went wrong. You go down to I think it was the Mexican Winter League. Plays well. He continued his hitting, and then he pulls his hamstring sliding into second base, and that was just the downfall. Ever since that moment, you go down there, you get popped for PEDs, and then you come back and you just stink at everything, hitting, defense, and then he comes back and he's back. And I guess one more thing on Marte, he was kind of rushed in 2023. Also, he got called up to AAA, I believe, around this time in 2023. And he only played about a month, and then he was promoted to the major league roster in August. And maybe he just needed time in AAA. Maybe that this year helped him get more confident at the plate, and maybe he's that guy going forward. And going in the outfield is probably maybe a good thing mentally for him too.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Marte. Although William Wright points out it'll be interesting to see his transition to the outfield. We're really hoping it's not an O'Neal Cruz situation. O'Neal Cruz had that bad week where he just looked like he didn't care to go after a ball or hustle or do any fundamentals right. So I don't think hopefully that'll be the situation for Marte. But if he does, I think he'll probably hear from Trace through the microphone if that's the case. And yeah, shout out to Candy coming into the season with the best shape of his life and then looking terrible. So shout out to him. He at least gets to count his money and whatnot. But a guy that we definitely know will be counting his money later in his career, but we know for sure right now is going to be worth the goods. A segment we like to cover our pro Ellie De La Cruz. There's a pro Ellie De La Cruz show. So we like to make sure and check in every week to see, is he good? Ricky?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Hey, he was in the All-Star game. He looks pretty good. He hits from the right and the left pretty good, especially today. because they had that left-handers in going against them. Although I don't know, man. He hasn't hit a home run in a while, right? He's still on 18.
Yeah. He only had one hit in the series.
Yeah, it was for an RBI single. So
yeah, it's what matters. It's what matters. But is LA de la Cruz good?
Yeah. He's better than Lindor. He's better than Soto. So he's good. Fred agrees. He's good. So, all right, time to move on from this segment into I think we got now our Red Hot Red of the Week. It's a very short week. We could even maybe throw in minor leaguers if you want to go that way, because the the DSL teams did not take the week off. They have their All-Star game coming up, so we can nominate some guys from the DSL if you want. I know that you've been profiling a lot of those guys, Ricky, on SI, which has been great because you get to interact with the minor leagues that way. Or we can just save that for our minor league segment. Either way, but I don't know. It's a short week, so we can't really have too many nominees out there, I don't think. Who's your Red Hot Red of the Week?
Oh, man, that's tough. I think Austin Hayes for his 2-home run game. Was it yesterday?
Yep.
I'll go with Austin Hayes with this 2-home run game. Runner-up for me was Andrew Abbott today.
Yeah, for sure. That's my guy. Andrew Abbott last week, also All-Star, 1-2-3 inning. Would have been my pick as well. Fred's GOAT, Andrew Abbott. I think he had like 9 pitches. Like, it was a pretty efficient All-Star game appearance for him as well, right? Like, didn't really even didn't sweat, I forget, he retired some of the better guys out there too. Shout out to Andrew Abbott. He's definitely, he got the loss today, unfortunately, but he's definitely been the ace carrying the load for injured Hunter Green and not so great Lodolo and not so great Nick Martinez from time to time. So shout out to him. That would be my pick. I don't know. I'm trying to think of any other guys that would rise up there. Austin Hayes, yeah, for sure, had a great game yesterday. Any other honorable mentions for you?
My honorable mention would be Rhys Hines yesterday in Louisville.
Yeah.
3 for 5, 2 home runs, both of them over 410 feet. Man, if he could figure it out. And the problem is they put him in against lefties at the major league level, and he just absolutely demolishes right-handed pitching. He's kind of that reverse split righty. Rhys Hines, for sure. The 2-home run game, that's pretty good. He's still hitting .311 with a .968 OPS in AAA this year.
Oh, yeah, shout out to Fred. Actually, Sewer got the loss today. So, actually, Andrew Abbott's still 8-1. Shout out to him. How about that? Forgot.
He got squeezed against Soto.
I forgot the Reds came back and made it 2-2, so it got him off the loss. But, yeah, I guess he was in line for the loss up until then. So, yeah, shout out. Oh, gosh. Oh, definitely not Red Hot Red of the Week was that umpire. So that, gee Louise. I don't know, man. I feel like that was like some sort of star treatment because it was Soto. Like, oh, this guy knows the strike zone better than I do. So if he doesn't swing, that's obviously not a strike, right? I don't know. I don't know. Shout out to Suter. He's had it was interesting going into that. I was listening to the radio. He has a 3.15 ERA in 2024. And going into today, do you know what his ERA was?
No.
His ERA in 2025 was 3.15 as well. The exact same. It's different now because he gave up the run. But he probably will get back to that 3.15 if I have to say, because he's Mr. Consistent, Mr. High leverage, and gets thrown in there when there's a game on the line, or just goes out there and be the opener as well. So
yeah,
Brent Suter.
He saved the day in the Chase Burns start. So I think that might have been his most high leverage action in his Reds career.
The Boston series, the Boston game. Yeah, that's what am I saying? That's when Sam Mole came back as well, right? That was his welcome back to the Rangers. So shout out to those guys. Short week, got some more, winnable games. Can we say winnable series? I would say because we'll talk about that against the Nationals and the Rays. But Ricky, now we'll move on to our segment of our Reds Facebook comment of the week, a favorite segment of ours because we get to laugh at some Reds fans that may not know ball so well or may just not know how to spell players'
Just like
names.
stirring the pot.
I don't know, man. Last time I think the last one we had was a positive one, so I guess is it a positive one or are we going back to the negative? Okay, we're going.
This is kind of just I don't know what they're thinking, but
okay.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Ship McLean and Stevens with off and go get India back in a bona fide outfielder. They're both strikeout machines. I guess that's in response to McLean striking out with the bases loaded. And I like how he spelled Stevenson here too.
Spelled McLean right, but he misspelled Stevenson.
I mean, I feel like Stevenson's the easy one to spell right because everyone spells McLean wrong.
Yeah,
but I don't think Kansas City is just going to give up Jonathan India, and I am not giving up McLean and Tyler Stevenson.
I don't know if that guy's watching a Kansas City Royals game because I've only seen like India's been struggling, like hitting maybe like 230 and can't find a position to play because Bobby Witt's not moving out of shortstop, and I think they got a decent guy that's playing second base, so he's got to play third, and he's been making some bad errors, and he's a below average outfielder or below average infielder. Like I don't know, man. Like I get it.
Jonathan India is batting 246, 4 home runs, 26 RBIs, a 670 OPS, and he has 354 at bats. In his last 7 games, he's actually hitting 276, 233 over his last 30 games, and does not have a single stolen base this year.
That's weird. Yeah, he wasn't like a real big stealing guy from what I can remember. Maybe like 14.
He's got 42 for his career.
Yeah, I feel like if he had like 14 or 15 one season, but like
he had 13 in 2024 and 14 in 2023.
Hey, shout out to me. I almost got it on the nose. But yeah, I don't know. It's a good question as to strikeout machines. Again, baseball, man. I was trying to like talk to somebody. I was like, this is not like the boom or bust like launch angle era anymore. Like it's still a lot of strikeouts and whatnot, but like I would say this is like the extra base and stealing base era because now they got the bases they're bigger. But like walks and singles, they don't do anything. They're not sexy enough, I guess, or they don't get enough, like offense generated. That you gotta hit extra base hits to like be a valuable player. You know what I mean?
Yes, India's right on pace, batting average wise over his last, I guess, his career, except for his rookie year. 246 this year, 248 last year, 244 in 2023. On base percentage is actually at a career low right now, or actually 2022 was a career low, but it's by one percentage point. In slugging, he's at a career low at 342, and he's also at a career low OPS. So, yeah, I mean, getting Brady Singer, like Fred says, I was never an anti-Jonathan India guy. I was a big fan of him just because of I think he was a great leader. As young as he was a great leader. And but getting Brady Singer back from that trade, I mean, God, Singer started out as one of our best pitchers other than Hunter Green. And then, obviously he had his rough patch. He had that crazy start in Houston, giving up like 8 runs in 3 innings or something. But, I mean, Singer is what you want as a 4 or 5 starter. Like that's what he is, and that's what he's given us. And you can't rely on India being a leadoff hitter was where we had him. Those numbers, because it felt like India just wasn't going to give that up with the Reds for whatever reason. I don't know if he just felt like he had leverage because he had Scott Boras as his agent as well. And, he wasn't going to give up second base, even though McLean is clearly a better option defensively. And as far as McLean, his season, like I didn't expect McLean to have a good season. Just you missed an entire year and then the season before you missed the last 2 months. So for him doing what he's doing this year is actually I'm okay with it. I mean, yeah, you want to see improvement, and we've seen some flashes, but Stevenson maybe, but he doesn't really strike out that much. I mean, yeah, he had the golden sombrero game a few weeks ago, but I don't think they're that bad. And I guess if we want to talk about strikeouts, India's been over 100 the last 2 years. He's at 67 this year, and he has, let's see, 36 walks to the 67 strikeouts. So I don't know. Like Fred said, I think it's a wild comment to want to get back him for those two guys.
Yeah, we could definitively say we won the India Singer trade, right? Like that's you can't do. Like I don't even think Kansas City fans would argue that. I mean, maybe, but I'm pretty sure. I think we won that trade pretty well. And even if like Singer doesn't isn't like spectacular, he's just an innings eater. Like he's saving the bullpen on the 5th or 4th day that he's pitching. You know what I mean? That's basically his role. And he's dependable. Like I talk about, shout out to him. Kind of underrated, going under the radar, just kind of eating up innings for us. So, yeah, shout out to Singer. And shout out to India, I guess, as well. So, but anyway, anything else you got on this crazy comment?
No, just kind of Williams' comment. Jose Barrero. Man, I loved Jose Barrero.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be special. He's currently in the Orioles organization right now.
Oh yeah, I forgot. They made way for Garrett Hampson.
Yeah. So Barrero, I'm trying to find his numbers here because I want to talk about strikeouts. In 2023, he had 44 strikeouts and he had 15 walks. 2022, 76 strikeouts, 9 walks. I think the problem with Barrero, though, is they never really kind of made room for him. They kind of just said, hey, Kyle Farmer's our shortstop. You're going to play wherever we need you. And they didn't really let him develop. And, you know, maybe this same outcome happens. But, I don't know. We went through a weird development phase with him and Nick Senzel, Phil Irvin back in 2019. We had a rough draft stretch for a while, and then we weren't trading for prospects we weren't trading guys that you want to keep for prospects for the future. I think now we're starting to do that, but it just sucks because you're wanting to go all in, but here we are in our situation, you know?
Yep. Yeah. That is the situation, but yeah, we will move on to our next topic, which will be highlighting our minor league system, which will have our 3 up, 3 down. They also had a short system, except for the DSL guys, which I don't think I added any DSL guys on there, except if you want to talk about the guys you profiled that made the All-Star game. We could talk about them a little bit. But the first guys that are here for the 3 up are resident AAA masher Reese Hines. He had a pretty decent 3-game stretch, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, and he's also hitting .311 in AAA. So like it's just kind of frustrating. It's not translating to the major leagues, unfortunately. A guy that was on our 3 down 2 weeks ago, Luke Sikkema, 5 innings, 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts. So he had a little bounce back, which is great. Alfredo Dono, the big masher down there in Daytona, had 3 for 9 this week and a huge home run, 2 RBIs, and also had a pretty decent appearance going to the Futures game a week ago or so. So shout out to Alfredo Dono, 19-year-old guy who looks like he's stronger than what's his name, Perez in Kansas City. Like, yeah, I mean he's that's his comp, but he looks even bigger and stronger than him, to be honest with you. And then our favorite ACL Reds player, Tyson Lewis, he's got 6 home runs on the season, hitting .303 with 18 stolen bases. I can't believe he didn't get moved up. I guess I don't know what the protocol is for ACL players, but like I feel like he's definitely going to be moved up next year, no doubt about it. But he
I'm
didn't
hearing
get
some rumblings that it's coming soon, but
well. Look out for that.
yeah.
Hopefully sooner than later. And then and any thoughts on these guys or any of the DSL guys you profiled?
Yeah, I'll talk about Tyson and Duno, and then I got two DSL guys I can talk about. Duno, he's actually has a really good eye for the plate for his position one, and then also his hitting ability. He had a home run the other day. He gets a lot of walks, and I don't think he gets enough credit for his arm strength behind the plate too. He's very agile for how big he is. He's like 6'2", 220, but he's built massive. I mean, he's a tank. And Tyson Lewis, man, he could be the next superstar for all we know. I mean, he's got a strong arm. He's fast. He steals a lot of bases, and he has insane bat speed. And when he's making contact, he's hitting it a long way. To quote the Athletics' Jenny Carvnar, he hits it a long ways. But yeah, I mean, Tyson Lewis could be that next superstar coming up in the next 3-4 years. And then in the DSL, Adolfo Sanchez and Pablo Nunez were the two offensive guys named to the DSL All-Star game. Adolfo Sanchez, he is the number 22 ranked prospect in the Reds farm system. He's 18. He signed out of the Dominican Republic in 2024. He is hitting .337, a .481 on base, .510 slugging. That's a .991 OPS. He does only have 2 home runs, but it's also the Dominican Summer League. They're not known for having a ton of power down there. He's got 21 RBIs, and he's walked more than he struck out. He's walked 22 times and struck out 20. And he steals some bases, too. He's got 8 stolen bases this year. And then Pablo Nunez, I highlighted him today in their the Dominican Summer League All-Star performance. He reached on an error, but this season he's having a great year. He's not a power guy yet. He's still only, I think he just turned 18. He's hitting .329 and .962 OPS. He's struck out 3 times this year and walked 35.
Wow.
So, I mean, these guys have incredible plate discipline at this young of an age. I mean, obviously, it's gonna get worse as they get older and higher levels.
Yeah.
But that's crazy. And then Iker Radona, he was the pitcher that was named to the DSL All-Star game. He's 17. This is his first professional season.
Wow.
He's made 3 starts in 6 games over 16 and a third innings. And he has a 0.55 ERA. And a week ago, he pitched 3 innings and struck out 6 in a perfect 3 innings. So he's a lefty. He's got a pretty decent fastball for his size and his age. And you got to think, like, this guy would be like a junior in high school right now. And he's doing this professionally. So keep an eye out on these 3 guys. They could be making, like, obviously Sanchez is already on the prospect list, but you could be seeing Pablo Nunez and Iker Radona added to the top 30 within the next year or 2.
Yeah, sounds awesome, Ed. Yeah, definitely we don't get to see too much of the DSL league or the ACL, so it's good to hear about these guys doing well. Hopefully we'll see them in the other, affiliates sooner than later, especially Tyson Lewis and those
Shane
guys.
Edlin.
Yeah. And then, yeah. But now we get to the part that we got the guys that are 3 down. And again, they're 3 pitchers, a short week, so there wasn't really too much stats out there, but some guys had some struggles this week. Luis May went a third of an inning, gave up earned run, but he had 3 walks in that inning, or that third of an inning last night. So struggle for him and his control. It's possibly why we haven't seen him up at the major league level, is that he's still kind of working that out. Ethan Sikorsky, just promoted from the Dayton Dragons to Chattanooga, got roughed up. The whole pitching staff got roughed up because they gave up 15 runs. I think Chattanooga did, lost 15-6. But he went 1 2/3, gave up 3 earned runs, 2 walks, and his ERA, unfortunately, now is in 21.6. So shout out to him. Got promoted and then got shelled. So a little bit of humble pie. Adam Siranowski is the other guy, a top prospect for us, just having a rough season. 1-6 on the year. His last start, he went 4 2/3, 3 earned runs, and then on the season, his ERA is 4.76 at Dayton. So, I don't know, man. Luke Hayden had a pretty good start to the year. He's cooled off, but you think Siranowski would have the struggles at the beginning and now start to turn it around, but he hasn't really turned it around as of yet. So I don't know. His promotion might not be anytime soon for the big lefty. We'll hopefully hear hopefully he'll get some good starts and be able to promote his stuff on the 3-up sooner than later.
Yeah, and you need a guy like Luis May to show that he can pitch at the major league level, because the way the bullpen has just been taxed here the last month or so, May, he's got the stuff, he's got the fastball, and it's electric.
Yeah,
but the command is just his real big issue. I don't know, man. It stinks because you need a guy like Ty Floyd that they drafted, I think, in 2023. He was in the Paul Skeens draft. He was actually the number 2 starter for LSU on that team. I think he's just having his second elbow operation in just 2 years. So that stinks. He was projected to be coming up in the major league roster in 2026, but I don't know, man. You just need these guys to show potential, mostly Luis May. And I don't want to make this an anti-Luis May show, but
no,
he's got to be that guy. Him and Zach Maxwell have got to figure it out this season to be ready for next year, to be that back of the bullpen, those two, Graham Ashcraft, and if we can keep Pagan, that back 4. And then you could have a guy like Tony Santion be your 6th inning guy. To go from Santion to even Barlow to May, Maxwell, Pagan, Ashcraft, like that. Not in that order, but just, those 5 could be an elite bullpen. And then you still have a Sam Moll potentially and a Brent Suter potentially as your fill-in guys. And I wasn't high on Scott Barlow to start the season, but man, he has flipped his switch for me. He has been a really reliable reliever this season.
Yeah, for sure. And we were both kind of debating, hey, are they keeping May and Maxwell in the minors to save them for the last stretch of the season, to have them come up and solidify the bullpen? But I don't know if May's control is what he's working on. I don't know if you can trust having him up in August and September when the games matter the most. So that's why my thoughts have been they need to go get someone in a trade for. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like this is going to be the solution. Maybe not. Maybe I still be wrong. It's still July, but I think they're probably going to prioritize the bullpen, then maybe the starting pitching next, then maybe a bat. That's knowing the Reds, knowing Brad Meter and Crawl. That seems like the way they would go about it. Unfortunately for May and Maxwell, 2026 might be, that spring training, get into the system that way, potentially.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
All right. Sounds good.
Not used to hearing that.
No, yeah, that's great. But yeah, now we're going to get to preview next week, which now we have a full slate of games, 1 rest day, right? Two series, 3 games each, but a potential to, win a series and then, come home and win at home against a decent ball club in the Rays. But they have to get kind of that Washington Nationals monkey off their back, because I was alluding to earlier, last year and 2023, I think I went to that series at Great American Ballpark where the Nationals came to town when the Reds had to win, or at least win the series.
Yeah, I was at the Abbott start.
Yeah, at least show some life. And I think in both series, in 23 and 24, they got swept by the Nationals. So, that can't happen, is basically what I'm trying to say here. And The Rays, it'll be at home at least, so they'll have some home cooking. 2 out of 3 seems reasonable. I don't know. The Rays don't strike fear into me as much as the Nationals, which is kind of weird because the Rays are like in the playoffs for the AL right now, I believe, or at least in the wild card hunt for sure. I don't know. What are your thoughts on these next 2 series?
Yeah, you need to have a good series against Washington. They have Brady Singer scheduled to start tomorrow against Jake Irvin. Um, Singer has a higher ERA over his last 3 starts compared to Irvin, but maybe this is, getting that All-Star break rest can kind of help Singer out too and kind of be like a refresh for him. And with the offense, I mean, Singer was that run support guy to start the season. And I don't know if we can get him going. His last start, he had 9 strikeouts. So maybe we can get him going. But then you also got Josh Bell on the Washington side, who has an 811 OPS with 14 homers career against us. So it's tough. And I think are we going to see Chase Burns this series? I think.
Yeah, I think the Tuesday game.
Yeah. So I'd be interested to see how he does with an extended rest with that too. And and then Tampa. I mean, they've been on a heater. They started out the season pretty bad, and I just didn't think they were used to playing outdoors. And now they're playing outdoors, and they're hitting a lot of home runs. And I think it just got announced that they're officially selling their team, but it's going to stay in the Tampa area. And I think they're leaning towards staying in Tampa Bay and not St. Pete, because I think there's more accessibility for the fans in Tampa as opposed to St. Pete. But I mean, Tampa always, ever since like 2007, it just seems like they've just figured it out on how to draft and develop and trade at the right time. Like I think the only 2 trades you could say that I don't want to say lost, but the player performed well post Tampa would be Willie Adames and Randy Arozarena, I think, because they had Glasnow at his peak, goes to the Dodgers. I mean, yeah, he had his injury issues with Tampa, but he never had like extended injury issues. And like now you're seeing him miss more time. But I don't know. Tampa just seems like they're kind of like my favorite team in the American League. Just I kind of like rooting for them. I like what they do. And if there's a team we could model, would be the Tampa Bay model. But that stinks for fans because then you can't really get attached to a favorite player either.
No, absolutely. It is kind of the ideal small market way to run a team, but it does come with a lot of frustration. If winning is what ends up happening because of the way the team is run, I think there is probably ability to forgive. But if you don't win, then you're frustrating the fans by trading away players early, and you're not winning. So you definitely gonna get the ire of the fans at that point. But I'm with William. 4-2, I think, is a reasonable week. Whether that means you sweep the Nationals, which I would love to see that, and then 1-2 against the Rays, or you win both series 2-1. I can see either way, hopefully happening that way, because I just looked at it. The Washington Nationals are actually having a pretty rough year. They haven't even won 40 games yet. They're 39-60. And I thought they were having a better year because they had like a bunch of guys represent them for the All-Stars. James Wood, and the guy you mentioned. I thought they were having a better season. They have that Mackenzie Gore represent them as well for the All-Star game. So I thought they were better than that. But I'm not going to play down to them as well. That's what the Reds are notorious for, playing down to their competition. So let's avoid that. Win the series, go against the Rays, win that series too, and come out 4-2. That would be an ideal week for me.
Yeah, what scares me is that Washington's 2-8 in their last 10, and they're going to have a get right series. And then you look at Tampa, they're 3-7 in their last 10. So you never know. You never know what's going to happen. And I don't know. You hope we could, like you said, 4-2. The goal is 5-1. But hey, if you can at least at minimum go 3-3, get the split, stay even, don't get swept, and kind of ride what we're going with right now. And I just want to see this team win. I'm tired of you. As much as it sucks, you hear like, man, we got to plan for the future. Got to plan for the future. I think this is probably the first time since the 2010 season where I'm thinking like, hey, the future is actually pretty bright.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and yeah, the Nationals and Rays coming in with kind of losing things. Let's just keep that going. Like, let's not have a situation. I mean, when the Marlins came to town, we were thinking the Marlins would be like an easy series to win, that 4-game series, but they were coming in hot. So let's just kick a team while they're down, both of them. Why not? Although like I said, the Rays have the same record as us. They're 52-48, a game and a half out of the wild card, much like we are. So that way, I think they'll be playing to their competition at that point, and it'll be hopefully a very competitive series. And I'm not exactly sure who will be starting. I'll probably have an Abbott starting there, so that'll be good to get Andrew Abbott out there at home against the Rays. So we'll hopefully be able to come out next week and say, hey, we got a winning week. We're 6 games above 500 or 7. I don't know. We got to somehow keep pace with those Brewers and those Cubs because we can't let them build like a 10 or 11 game lead because that would make it just that much more difficult, I guess, to come down the stretch against those teams, in August and September in those series and kind of be competitive with them if we're not winning ball games.
Yeah, I think I'm never a season's over kind of guy, but I think if the division hits 10 in late July, early August, then you can start to say, hey, like,
big lead.
It's not looking great, but obviously we're still only 2 games out of a wild card spot, so it's not over. I mean, the extended playoffs really are kind of in our favor right now, but yeah, in the AL Central, Cleveland's 10.5 back of Detroit, and Cleveland had a rough stretch where they lost 10 in a row, but they're at 8-2 in their last 10, so they flipped it around. And then, you got Minnesota 11 games back. But then you got Chicago 24.5 back.
They just swept the Pirates, baby.
Yeah, the White Sox. The White Sox swept the team before we got swept. Who had that happening?
Not my bingo card for sure. But yeah, and the Pirates were not. They had that stretch too. Like, here's the thing: when are the Reds going to have that stretch where they win 8 out of 10 games? Like, they're kind of in the middle of it now. They had 5 out of 6, but then they lost today. So you know what I mean?
4 in their last 10. The Reds are.
Yeah. So when we could get that that 2023 magic back? Like, I'd love to see that.
I think it's coming.
Oh, right against the Dodgers, baby.
I think he's going to get hot just in time for the Dodgers series.
He loves playing against the Dodgers.
Yeah, he does.
I hate we have to say that.
Ellie just knows how to play up to the moment, I think. And it's funny enough, there's been this narrative that Ellie's not clutch, and he had that game-tying home run earlier in the season that kind of was his first hit in a clutch situation.
Yeah,
but when it comes to Ellie playing against big teams, when he's needed to play well, he plays well, and I would be excited to see Ellie in a playoff series. I think Ellie, that would be Ellie's calling card. Would be in a playoff series, no matter who he's playing. I think if Ellie hits a playoff series, I think he could go out and win the series MVP of that series.
Yeah, every fan's dream, I believe, is that the Reds are going to get hot. They're going to get, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 11, 10 out of 12, stretch. Get right there in the playoffs. Get the experience of being in the playoffs so they can build even on that because the core is still young, right? And we're still probably going to have a front office that's not going to add a Luis Robert, right? So let's build on this momentum that hopefully we can see in the next coming weeks and just ride that into the playoffs and just get on the national stage, get on a Fox game other than the Bristol game that's coming up. So shout out to the Reds getting on the national airwaves and Fox in a couple weeks. So we'll be watching out for that. And that'll be awesome to break down because that next day we have no game to watch. They have an off day. They scheduled it really strangely, but I guess they're kind of having like the biggest game of the week in Bristol, Tennessee, in about 13 days, 14 days.
August 3rd, I think. August 2nd or 3rd. I know it's the first weekend of August.
Yeah. Well,
I wanted to talk about this before we wrap it up. We were talking about Luis Robert. He's heating up.
Was he hitting 200 now?
375 in his last 7, slugging 667, 2 home runs, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts. I think he knows he's about to get traded, and I think
Juarez seems to know too. So Juarez is like, I'm just gonna keep hitting bombs until somebody takes me.
Yeah, he's still only hitting 201, but 10 home runs, 25 stolen bases. So that would be. I mean, you'd love to see his average up, but if he could hit, if he could hit in front of Ellie, and I don't want. Okay, dream scenario: Ellie bats second, right?
Right.
Maybe Robert lead off. If obviously this depends on if Friedel's still on the team or not. But
are you saying that Friedel gets traded for Robert?
Friedel has 3 years of team control left. He's 29, but he has 3 years of team control left.
The White Sox would happily take that.
I think they might. I mean, obviously they're going to want to prospect. A few prospects in return. But we do seem to like these major leaguer for major leaguer trades. So
they don't want to trade their top prospects.
No. So maybe you see a Friedel or a Steer get traded this year.
Stevenson,
that's an interesting one just because he's 28, catcher, and they extended Jose Trevino before he even played a game.
Yeah.
And we're still waiting for this Tyler Stevenson extension, and we haven't got it yet. So,
well, I think we might have stumbled on the most likely trade: major league for major leaguer, Friedel for Robert, and a prospect to be named later. Hopefully, Ryan Velade.
Would you be surprised if Rhys Hines and CES are in a package like that?
No, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if the Chicago scouts are making sure that they're getting the best they can get.
So, like Suarez, right? This literally just popped in my head right now. Nick Martinez, CES, Rhys Hines for Suarez and a mid-level young prospect.
Like Balcazar?
Well, for an Arizona prospect.
Oh, Arizona's side. Sure.
Because we're giving up 2 major leaguers. Well, 3 major leaguers, technically, with CES and Hines. But you're also clearing 3 40-man spots. So that would open up a spot for Hector Rodriguez and Sal Stewart and Suarez to come in. But then you're also losing a pitcher. So you would have to find a way to get a pitcher. But I'm just rambling now.
This feels like a trade deadline show.
Yeah.
But appreciate everybody that came and tuned in. We are trying to grow this podcast, so check us out on YouTube, on X, on Facebook, and we're a podcast. So check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We got that going. Those people that are on Apple Podcasts really love our podcast.
That link tree's in the description of our YouTube videos. So I think Apple Podcast and Spotify are the first 2 links in that link tree.
We won't be going live on Wednesday, right? So we got a in the can interview that we'll be putting out there for a premiere, but we'll also have some decent interviews coming up in the next couple weeks. So shout out to all those guys that keep on coming on our show. So they must like us enough to say yes and whatnot. So we really
shout out James Rapine for coming on last week. That was really cool. Just talking to him about baseball. And he's so in tune to the Bengals. I think he might have liked talking about something different. talking some baseball. He was the original Locked On Reds host. And we snuck in some football questions too. We got some Joe Burrow talk out of him.
Yeah, I was saying.
Almost ended the show on Lamar Jackson should have been a Bengal, but yeah, and Jeff Carr in the past, and Greg, and everybody else. Mike has come on the most amount of time. Shout out Mike Ballantyne, new host of the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast. Congratulations on that.
Yeah,
that's going to be our interview Wednesday. Could potentially have a ginormous guest in the future, depending on some DM conversations, but I don't want to float that. That could be a next year kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it depends on when to drop a hint. It could depend on how the NFL season goes. So yeah. So we'll leave that open, but we'll keep reaching out to some people, and we'll get some. I like the interview segments that we do. I think it's something different that you don't see a whole lot in sports media. So kind of try to pave our own path here. We're not trying to be, Locked On where it's daily Reds coverage nonstop. I don't think we could have the time to do that. And it's just a lot of fun interview segments and stuff. So I like it. I'm thinking you do too.
Yeah, that's good. I was just lamenting that you and Mike are getting these big time jobs. That don't forget about me, Rick.
Hey, you're here, man. This is the next big time job.
Yeah. All right,
it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, we'll see. But other than that, if you got nothing, Rick, let's sign off and go Reds.
Go Reds.
We're the Reds. Red hot.